Hello there, many thanks for joining us on Razep Africa this beautiful day. As usual, I'm excited to be here, and I'm here right here with Anyete Unyime. Anyete Unyime is looking very corporate this morning. It's good to see you.
It didn't actually backlash me like that, but good morning.
It's not my intention. It's not my intention. I was just
thank you very much. Thank you very much, Joy. Happy New Week. Even though we are gradually ending the month of June, the first 6 months of the year, gradually we're getting over it. And
that's true. Is it new month today?
No, it's not.
Today
happens to be 29 today.
This week ends the July. The month of June.
And we get into the month of July.
That's true. And the month is run. The years are running.
Yeah. Maybe running because we have elections in 2027 and the first month to be precise. So it's time for Nigerians to get ready to decide.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Well, it's always very interesting a period in Nigeria when we get to do this decision. But as you know, we would be getting into very many conversations. Today's Monday. We'll start with the African news updates, and then it will be time for agriculture for today and tomorrow. We'll banter a bit about the African news this morning. And then it will be agriculture for today and tomorrow. And remember, we will be bringing you an interview with the convener of Youth in Parliament, somebody who's advocating for a youth quota in Parliament. So many conversations around there, especially as we discuss whether or not it's healthy for our democracy if power is handed a la carte to youth. Well, it's time for the news update, when we would finish and then get to other programming. We begin in Nigeria today, where the Nigerian Association of Resident Doctors has extended its strike ultimatum by another 4 weeks, giving the federal government one final opportunity to address long-standing welfare concerns before industrial actions begin. The association says the decision followed a review of government compliance after its initial 21-day ultimatum expired without satisfactory progress. At the end of its extraordinary National Executive Council meeting, NAD declared an official industrial dispute, citing unresolved issues including the non-disbursement of the 2026 Medical Residency Training Fund, delayed salaries for house officers, and unpaid allowances across several health institutions. Resident doctors warn they can no longer guarantee industrial harmony beyond the new deadline, with preparations for possible strike action already underway if the government fails to meet its obligations. The association says it expects more concrete actions before its next National Executive Council meeting in Gombe State, stressing that repeated assurances without implementation have continued to affect healthcare delivery nationwide. Now from healthcare to national security, attention now shifts to the Democratic Republic of Congo, where a decades-long regional conflict is taking a new legal turn. The Democratic Republic of Congo has filed a case against Rwanda at the International Court of Justice, accusing Kigali of supporting the M23 rebel groups responsible for years of instability in eastern Congo. Kinshasa alleged Rwanda violated international conventions through acts including massacres, torture, sexual violence, and forced displacement, and is seeking reparation for victims and the Congolese state. Rwanda has consistently denied backing the M23 rebels, insisting that instead the Congolese government cooperates with armed groups linked with the 1994 Rwandan genocide. Although both countries signed a U.S. brokered peace agreement last year, the latest legal action signals growing diplomatic tensions and opens a fresh international legal chapter in one of Africa's longest-running conflicts. Now, still in the East Africa, Kenya's police are facing a contempt of court after right group Katiba Institute challenged the government's decision to lock down central Nairobi during commemorations marking the second anniversary of the Gen Z protests. The legal action accuses police authorities of ignoring court orders by erecting roadblocks that restricted movement and disrupted emergency services. Authorities defended the restrictions, saying Intelligence reports indicated criminal elements intended to infiltrate the memorial marches. However, human rights groups argue that the measures unlawfully suppressed peaceful remembrance activities and have renewed calls for accountability as investigations into alleged excessive use of force by security agencies continue. Now, across the border in Uganda, press freedom is facing renewed scrutiny following a government action against one of East Africa's largest independent media organizations. Uganda's leading independent media group, Nation Media Group, says it is under military siege after armed soldiers forced its television stations off the air following an order from the army chief Muhoozi Kainerugaba. The military commander, who is also President Yoweri Museveni's son, declared publicly that he does not believe in a free press and insisted the outlets will remain closed until he personally authorizes their reopening. The shutdown has drawn widespread condemnation from press freedom advocates, including the Committee to Protect Journalists and Opposition Figures. Uganda continues to rank among the lowest performing countries globally on press freedom, with journalists frequently reporting intimidation, arrest, and violence. And in West Africa, Burkina Faso has officially severed diplomatic ties with France, accusing its former colonial ruler of supporting activities that undermine the country's sovereignty and security. The ruling military government says France continues to pursue neo-colonial interests while allegedly backing networks linked to instability in the Sahel. Paris has rejected the accusations as baseless and says it is considering reciprocal measures. Although diplomatic relations have now been cut, Burkina Faso stresses that the decision does not affect the historical and cultural ties between French and Burkinabe people, even as anti-French sentiment continues to reshape alliances across the region. And on migration issues, South Africa remains on high alert ahead of planned nationwide anti-immigration demonstrations. Thousands of documented and undocumented foreign nationals have sought safety outside Home Affairs offices and foreign consulates, fearing violence as citizen-led groups maintain a June 30 deadline demanding undocumented migrants leave the country. Many migrants say they have abandoned their homes and possessions, uncertain whether authorities can guarantee their safety. Meanwhile, government officials have increased security preparations while appealing for calm, but anxiety remains high among migrant communities. Human rights groups continue to urge South African authorities to protect all residents, regardless of nationality, and prevent a repeat of previous deadly xenophobic attacks. And that's it for the African News Update this morning. As we have heard, it's unfortunate that the June 30 threat is still standing, right, even though I keep hearing from those who oppose these anti-migrant groups that they too are planning to have an how is it often called, like a counter demonstration as well, but it's a very dicey one. We've seen nations across Africa lose people, so it is really dicey. It's also coming at a time when Nigerians in South Africa are asking for the expedited evacuation that the country had promised.
Well, for me, I think maybe we would start with the hope and belief that we will not have that protest. A lot of times we even get to hear people talk about peaceful demonstration, and peaceful demonstration gets hijacked, and once they get hijacked, we realize peaceful demonstrations becoming untold happenings that people would not want to actually see happen, but unfortunately it gets to that point. How much more now talking about real-time protest? We will be considering a whole lot of damages, lives, properties, and we are hoping that this does not actually come to be. We are hoping that these protests would not happen. We are also believing that no matter what happens, if at the end of the day it is not held that it wouldn't come to happen, that it should happen in such a way that the message will be passed, but lives and properties will still be preserved. However, we are believing and trusting that all Africans come together to have one mind and one thought about the growth of Africa in general. And maybe with this, it could go a long way to preserve our lands and bring us together again as one. Even though it is actually very difficult, Joy, to see this oneness actually come to play. Yeah, and have that
conversation right now. I mean, I watched the Canada versus South Africa knockout match yesterday.
0-1 it ended. And
I saw where I'm going to with this is how I saw the excitement from Africans that Canada had won, which is often, no matter the internal issues we had, we were head on always supporting African countries, but it was different this time. It was almost like Nigeria won when Canada won against our own brothers. So
I actually had to view that game from a side, and maybe I didn't enjoy, I didn't see Nigerians actually display, their hits, maybe at viewing centers, but I saw it online. Because from the side,
it was
even while the match was on, you needed to see Africans. You read the name and you know that this is actually an African name, based in somewhere in Africa.
Yeah, you see Adebayo there.
Yeah, exactly. You see the likes of or the write-ups like "Go Canada, and you're asking go to where?
Go to where? You're against your Nigerian, your African brothers.
So.
Well, it's at this time that we go for a short break, and when we return, it will be time for agriculture for today and tomorrow. Remember, today is Monday, and we always bring you that segment that gives you all you need to know, updates in the agricultural sector. And as you know, that's almost that's the most important sector in the world, because it affects it affects our meals, and I don't play with food. So, agriculture for today and tomorrow coming up next.
Welcome to Razep Africa, the heartbeat of the continent in one show. Here, we celebrate Africa not as a headline, but as a home full of ideas, courage, flavor, and future. This is where we talk about everything Africa. The politics that shape our nations, the innovations that shift our economies, the culture that colors our lives, the challenges we face with honesty, and the victories we are building one story at a time. On this show, no topic is swept aside. We are unfiltered and we are intentional. We bring you experts from across the continent and the world. Voices that know, voices that live the African experience, voices that are shaping the next chapter of our story. Let your spirit rise. We don't just tell Africa's story, we own it. Join Joy Asonye on Razep Africa, Monday to Friday at 11 a.m. to 12 noon on Global Television.
In the heart of our field lies the future of agriculture, sustainable, innovative, and powered by smart solutions. From the rich soil of Africa to high-tech farms around the globe, agriculture is evolving to meet the demands of tomorrow. At the intersection of tradition and technology, we discover smarter ways to grow more, waste less, and harvest greener. Together, we are cultivating a future where every harvest sustains the earth and its people. Join us 11:15 a.m. Mondays and Fridays on Global TV, Channel 365 DSTV, StarTime Channel 276, or YouTube Livestream GSA Initiative. Agriculture for today and tomorrow, as we share groundbreaking ideas, empowering farmers, and celebrate greenhouse solutions. Together, let's grow the future.
Hello and welcome once again to today's episode of Agriculture for Today and Tomorrow. Here we promote smart solutions for a greener harvest. My name is Esther Itefia, your host. Remember, this is a Media for Agricultural Development project of the Growth for Sustainable Agriculture Initiative, an initiative that is poised to support African farmers in developing sustainable, innovative, and profitable farm practices. So the last episode we talked about carbon farming and sustainable agriculture, where Mr. Emmanuel Odichukwu told us all about carbon farming and even hinted on benefits and income opportunities. Today he's here to shed more light on the income opportunities and benefits in carbon farming. Welcome, Mr. Emmanuel Odichukwu, to today's episode.
Thank you once again.
Yes, it's nice having you here.
It's a pleasure being here.
Thank you. So the last time we talked about income opportunities, and a lot of discussions since then have been going on about carbon credits and the income opportunities for farmers. How realistic is this for the average farmer in Nigeria? And is it possible to even assess this credit you talked about?
Yes, thank you. So for the credits, it depends on a project basis, but of course, yes, farmers are accessing it. Not that they go to access it individually, but it's you have to be part of a project so that the project is now able to, like the project developer are the ones that now bring farmers together, like you aggregate farmers, because one farmer cannot go to the carbon market to sell their carbon. It's like saying you're taking one cup of rice to sell to someone like Ola.
Okay.
So it has to be, from this guy's farm, we're able to get 2 tons of carbon. From that guy, we're able to get maybe 3 metric tons of carbon. Like that, you aggregate everything together. Then there comes in the buyers. So just like I mentioned in the last episode, I said the people paying for this this carbon farming, bringing the money, are the guys, that companies that are trying to offset their carbon footprint. So they have, the simplest way I can explain it will be, you have a quota to release, let's say, 1,000 tons of carbon a year from the government. And as a company that is doing production, the company will for my production, for me to have enough production this year to meet demand, I will release like 1,500 tons of carbon.
Okay.
So that's where the carbon credit comes in. So the extra that you are releasing, carbon also have the voluntary and involuntary market, is a lot of stories around it. So we might not be able to touch everything. So I'm just trying to touch the basic things, that the ones that are major or basic for us to know. So you have your quota to do 1.5, but to meet your production capacity, you want to do 1.3 or 1.4, 1,500 tons for the year. So that's where you now have to offset the remaining 500.
Okay.
So in trying to offset the remaining 500, that's where the farmers, the project developer comes in. That's where the concept of the carbon credit comes in.
Oh, okay.
So you are now able to say, for you farmers, let's take Niger State for example. For Niger State, we've been able to say aggregate farmers, and they did the practices, the intercropping, minimum tillage, residue management. They did the practices. Now, after let's say 4 years, 5 years of doing the practices, they've accumulated enough carbon in the soil. Of course, some baseline test is done on the soil to ascertain the carbon level,
The contents, yes.
before the project even takes off.
Okay.
So this is done, and there are other that will be done after, at the point of trying to check validation and verification of the project process and activities. So there is a monitoring that will go through. There are other activities that will happen in the space of that 3 years. Data collection, both crop data, the farmers' data process happens within, a lot of activities happen within that 3 years. Training, workshops, and all that, stakeholders engagement. So when that calculation is done, at the end of, let's say, 4 years, 5 years, then you can now say for Niger State, we have, let's say, 5,000. This just trying to set trying to paint a scenario that people at home can be able to relate with. We have like 5,000 tons of carbon from Niger State. And there is that company that government has said you have a quota to release 1,000 carbon for this year for your production. But for that company to meet production capacity for that year, they want to do 1.5. They want to release, their production will release 1.5. So the remaining 500, they now come to offset that 500 as part of CSR or whatever they might want to label it as. Or in some countries, it is a must that you have to buy an offset. Okay. So that's where these projects, carbon farming and project developers come in. Like, okay, we have 500, we have 5,000 tons from Niger State. Okay, you give me 500, I'm paying for 500. So there is already a market standard for price, a ton per ton for carbon. For the carbon. So they have to pay for how many they buy. Maybe another company comes, I need 1,000. Another organization comes, I need 500. So when everything is sold, the funds are aggregated
and disbursed to the farmers. So from what I understand in summary from what you said is that the practice itself, before the carbon can be validated that each farmer is able to accumulate in the soil, it takes years. Yes. It's a whole process, and then there are testings that are done, monitoring and validations that are done to ensure that, oh, this was done right and this is the quantity that is available, and then when the need comes, they're able to sell it as carbon credits.
Exactly. So for, let's say, for the developed, for some economies that have run ahead of us, yes, because what I'm painting now is the scenario that applies to Nigeria and some African countries. Okay. But like in Europe and America, you see that projects, from start to when the credit is ready can be like 18 months. Okay. Or 2 years. But here, because things are just taking off, it takes up to 4 years. 3 years, 4 years, some 5 years before it matures. So I think with time we would get there where there are a lot of bottleneck, of course, that is making our process to take that 4 years, 5 years, 3 years, because the validation body, they are also there. So it's a lot of process. Okay. We don't have them in Africa. We have to come from Europe, come from America, come from maybe Asia, India. Okay. So these are
a lot of bureaucracies for now that makes it longer.
Nuances that just delays stuff.
So it means that the farmers can actually just do carbon farming, sustainable agriculture, and get money from the practice, from everything you said.
So yes, they can get the money, but you have to be part of a project.
I get you have to be under the body. Yes.
Yeah. So a project developer have to approach you, create that platform that introduce you to the market. But of course, you do the practice under the project developer, you get the carbon credit. But I think most times the focus is not mostly on the credit. The benefit that comes from the improved agricultural yield and the improvement in the soil also. These are the benefit that
even the farmer enjoys.
3, 4, 5 years, yes, you start enjoying, because the moment the soil gets better, the yield improves. The inputs you use for production and some other activities that might take up fund, increase the cost of production, they drop. So the benefits are more than the credit that comes with it.
Thank you very much. Now we get the picture. So do you think there's any role the government or agricultural institutions can play in creating awareness on the importance of carbon farming and also incorporating it into the agricultural sustainable strategy of Nigeria?
Yes, I think Nigerian government is doing a lot. I think the National Council for Climate Change, NCCC, is the body that is saddled with the responsibility of ensuring that Nigeria can play in the carbon market. And there is a lot that has happened in recent administration, trying to see that Nigeria is better positioned for the benefits that come with the carbon market. So the government is playing their roles. The government played the role when it comes to stakeholders, engagements, grassroots penetration. A project coming to a community for the first time, the government can, most times the confidence in the project comes through government agents, maybe Ministry of Agri, Ministry of climate and environmental issues. So these are roles that government play. Government play their own role too.
Okay, that is very enlightening. So, in conclusion, what does success in the carbon farming and carbon markets look like in the next 5 years?
In the next 5 years, in fact, the success is already here because in some northern part of Nigeria, where we are taking back the Sahara, where tree planting is going on. So these are like the benefits. So projects are coming, NGOs, organizations, introducing tree planting to farmers, giving tree nurseries. And these are mostly sometimes economic trees that in 3, 4, 5 years, farmers can harvest and sell.
Yes.
For those doing the regenerative agriculture, they sell their crops, they improve their soil, they get the carbon credit. So those doing biochar, they get paid for that. Some get to return the biochar to their field. So the benefits are here already. In the coming future, it will get better.
Okay, so Mr. Emmanuel, you just talked about the carbon farming and the benefits and the fact that it takes up to 4, 5 years maybe to reap the reward. But then what are the processes and the steps that farmers have to take to assess it individually as farmers, right? To assess this project, to be under the body and the platform where they can benefit from carbon credits. And if possible, even such projects where our audience who are listening can begin to benefit from.
So we're looking at projects have to be available in the community first, yes, because you cannot write to a project that is not around to come. They have to check the logistics involved. So, but for where projects have already reached the community, the farmer, there will be that awareness on this is what the project is about, the scope it covers in the practices, the methodology that, depending on the methodology the project is adopting from the certification body. So there are a lot of certification bodies, so I don't want to go into that details. So that which the project is adopting is where the farmer can key in.
Okay.
So you have to align with that project because that's what the project will present for them for the verification and the validation of each of the farmers.
Yes.
So we are looking at your willingness to adopt the practices that the project is coming up with. Some data will be required of you.
Okay.
So like some personal data, your NIN, this is to ensure that they avoid double counting. You have to own a land or own a place where carbon will not sink in the air. So it has to be in the land or in the trees or so. You own the land or you have a lease of the land for a long time because projects will prefer that you're able to be part of the project for a long time because it gets better the longer
the practice continues.
So both for the plants you're doing, both for the soil, as the soil gets better, the crop gets better. So these are like some practices, some processes. So it's just alignment with whatever project is accessible to you and seeing that you get their project and what they need to do. So you'll be open to monitoring, you participate in the few days for where they have demo plots and those other activities. So these are like the things the farmer needs to do. But each project have their own requirement and specifications.
It's all right. Thank you very much. That's been very informative. We are going to come to the end of the episode now. We've had a very wonderful discussion with you throughout. We've understood what carbon farming is, the benefits and the income opportunities. And I'm sure a lot of farmers who are listening to this will want to key in to it as soon as possible. Thank you very much, Mr. Emmanuel.
Thank you for having me.
Yes. So that's it for today's episode on Agriculture for Today and Tomorrow. We've been able to see what carbon farming is and the future of sustainable agriculture. Let's meet same time, 11:15 a.m. on Monday, where we'll discuss on another important topic in agriculture. So that is it for today. I remain your host, Esther Itifia. See you next time.
In the heart of our field lies the future of agriculture, sustainable, innovative and powered by smart solutions from the rich soil of Africa to high-tech farms around the globe. agriculture is evolving to meet the demands of tomorrow. At the intersection of tradition and technology, we discover smarter ways to grow more, waste less, and harvest greener. Together, we are cultivating a future where every harvest sustains the earth and its people. Join us 11:15 a.m. Mondays and Fridays on Global TV, channel 365 DSTV, StarTime channel 276, or YouTube livestream GSA Initiative. Agriculture for today and tomorrow, as we share groundbreaking ideas, empowering farmers, and celebrate greenhouse solutions. Together, let's grow the future.
Welcome to Razep Africa, the heartbeat of the continent in one show. Here, we celebrate Africa not as a headline, but as a home full of ideas, courage, flavor, and future. This is where we talk about everything Africa. The politics that shape our nations, the innovations that shift our economies, the culture that colors our lives, the challenges we face with honesty, and the victories we are building one story at a time. On this show, no topic is swept aside. We are unfiltered and we are intentional. We bring you experts from across the continent and the world. Voices that know, voices that live the African experience, voices that are shaping the next chapter of our story. Let your spirit rise. We don't just tell Africa's story, we own it. Join Joy Asonye on Razep Africa, Monday to Friday at 11 a.m. to 12 noon on Global Television. Welcome to Razep Africa, the heartbeat of the continent in one show. Here, we celebrate Africa not as a headline, but as a home full of ideas, courage, flavor, and future. This is where we talk about everything Africa. The politics that shape our nations, the innovations that shift our economies, the culture that colors our lives, the challenges we face with honesty, and the victories we are building one story at a time. On this show, no topic is swept aside. We are unfiltered and we are intentional. We bring you experts from across the continent and the world. Voices that know, voices that live the African experience, voices that are shaping the next chapter of our story. Let your spirit rise. We don't just tell Africa's story, we own it. Join Joy Asonye on Razep Africa, Monday to Friday at 11 a.m. to 12 noon on Global Television.
Welcome back from that. That was agriculture for today and tomorrow. Like I told you earlier, we're discussing important issues like the youth parliament quota that my guest this morning is advocating for. Now, the passage of the Not Too Young to Run Act in 2018 was celebrated as a watershed moment. It lowered the constitutional age requirements for elective officers and opened the door for more young Nigerians to seek public office. But years later, many argue that legal eligibility has not translated into meaningful political representation. High nomination fees, entrenched political party structures, patronage politics, and the influence of political godfathers continue to limit the emergence of young leaders. Now, against this backdrop comes a new proposal, the Youth Quota in Parliament Bill. The proposal seeks to reserve 30% of seats in the national and state assemblies for Nigerians under the age of 35, with deliberate inclusion of young women and persons with disabilities. Supporters of this bill, like my guest this morning, describes it as the logical next step in deepening democratic inclusion. Critics, however, question whether democracy should guarantee representation through quotas or continue to rely on open political competition where ideas, experience, and public support determines electoral success. Would such a reform strengthen Nigeria's democracy by making parliament more representative, or could it unintentionally weaken the principles of merit, electoral competition, and political accountability? Well, joining us this morning is Honorable Blessing Flex Baniel, I like that name, Flex Baniel Oyefeso, President of the Nigerian Youth in Politics, also the convener of Youth Quota in Parliament Advocacy, and one of the leading voices pushing for constitutional reforms aimed at increasing youth representation in governance. Thank you so much for being part of the show.
And thank you very much.
Yes, of course, it's always exciting to have this conversation where it almost seems as if, I mean, when you have it with older people, like you just want to come and get our spot. When you have it with younger people, you say, give me an opportunity. But I guess my first question is, what convinced you and your platform, your group of people, that is indeed what is necessary to strengthen our democracy, that youth inclusion that you keep advocating for?
Yeah, thank you very much, Lady Joy. And I think the convention, you've actually gave a background to the convention, to why they need to be, or why we came together after realizing, that the eligibility reform, which was gotten in 2018, which is the Not Too Young to Run Act, is not sufficient enough to guarantee younger persons representation in democracy. And having discovered that, against every other background which you also noted in your opening, there is need for us in deepening democracy, in meeting the voices of the larger population of young Nigerians, over 60%, who are underrepresented in decision making. That is why the bet for the youth quota in Parliament Advocacy started, and by last year, October, we already have a bill presented in the National Assembly, and the bill is the next reform for the younger people's participation in decision making. If we look at the current assembly, out of 360 seats across, we have less than 2.2% under 35 years old. These are the demographic that holds the larger population. And when it comes to decision making, they are not represented. In the 10th assembly currently as well, we have no younger women represented. And beyond younger women, I'm talking about younger women under 35. None of them is represented in this 10th assembly. Then we now go further to people living with disability, one form of disability or the special need, as they call. They even have no voice at all. So what are we now saying? So if we talk about representative democracy, one person will have to take the lead to demand for a reform. And the reform we are asking for, we thank the government of Nigeria for acting to the voices of young people back then, under late President Muhammadu Buhari, for giving us for the 8 barriers, which is the Not Too Young to Run. Now, the challenge that we have now is the presidency or the current government of the day, which is President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, to, as a matter of urgency, before he exits power, look into giving us another reform that is going to accelerate that achievement which we have. Because could you imagine if we now have a quota representation for young people now in the 10th assembly, going to 11th assembly, we are looking at 30%, because the bill seeks for 30% quota representation for younger people under 35 years, inclusive of young women and people with disabilities, so that in the 11th assembly and going further, these young people could be at the table to make contribution to the table, how could you want to make decisions for them when they are not on the seat? So these are some of the rationale that gave birth to Youth Quota in Parliament advocacy, and I can say it without unequivocal that we are breaking grounds. We have achieved so much milestone. We have been received by the Ministry of Youth Development. We have engaged with some local international partners, and in fact, as it is, we have been supported by the Nigerian Youth Future Fund, who believes that this is an idea whose time has come.
And looking at the 2018 reform, which I've actually mentioned, and the way things are going, you've given a whole lot of statistics, and you have to be sincere. These statistics are statistics that we have followed over time, and we have realized that, it is actually not what we expected. So this brings me to the thought and the question. What happened in 2018 and the aftermath of what happened in 2018 not being played out? Do you think it was actually a legal victory for you and not a political victory?
Okay, now, during the course of our advocacy, we engaged in stakeholders engagement. We started with stakeholders engagement. I haven't come up with the rationale that there need to be another reform that will accelerate the not too young to run. We engaged with the former Minister of Youth, Barrister Solomon Lalong. And do you know what he said to us? He said that the day that the young people came to his office, he was a minister then. He said he looked at it and he told them, this reform you're asking for is a trap. It's not an end in itself. They're just giving it to you as a trap. Because the young people have mobilized themselves and the momentum is high. So the government of them look at the reform truly, knows that the not too young to run reform can never and will never guarantee representation of young people. So that was a trap, according to the Minister of Youth Development as at that time. So what are we saying? So we understood that yes, we are young people, we could come together, we can come together and make all the noises. The government of the day might look at us and say, okay, your noise is too much, what do we do? You get some development think tank, what if we give it to them? Does it change anything? They say, Mr. President, they are deceiving themselves. Let's just give it to them, let's use it for election campaign and all that. This is Africa, this is Nigeria. We play politics even at the detriment.
Those opportunities that are offered them. But my question would be, there is no law that actually restricts a younger than 35-year-old in government, in parliament. Why do you think it's necessary to have another legislation that encourages it? And what, in your response, what would you say are the biggest challenges that young people face? We do not still have an overboard of young people after the Not Too Young to Run Act. Okay, now, the greatest achievement that Not Too Young to Run Act has given us, I am a beneficiary as well. Because as at that time You ran as governor.
Yes, I am a beneficiary of that bill, of that act. Because as at that time, it gave me opportunity. I was on the 35 as at that time. So I had the opportunity because of the bill reform. to have been able to be the youngest governorship candidate in Ogun State 2019 election.
So let's go to the challenges
beyond that, you know. See, okay, the election coming now, 2027 election, there are so many younger candidates that so many political parties, let me not use some words because this is a public, you know, they will give tickets, and at the end of the day, the capacity to run the what we call it, the electioneering process, do they have it? Younger people in Nigeria are not only marginalized economically, but politically as well. So imagine someone that is crippled economically. How do you expect that person to be actively engaged, to participate politically? So that is one marginalization that we realize, economic marginalization. Younger people do not have the financial muscle for them to go into contesting with those political bourgeois, you know, the elite. You know, I call them political entrepreneurs. They've made so much money in their businesses, and they feel that
politics has become a
politics is a retirement home, because, you know, after God is government. So they need to find themselves inside government. But we need to de-practice this issue of political retirement for people that have made money. They want to go into politics just for we need to, if we have to advance as a nation, younger people must be constitutionally empowered. So that goes to the next one. When the constitution empowers you, the political party at their level during their primaries, we know, because if the bill scale through, it will be embedded in the logos and letters of our constitution. So political party, when they are going about their primary, you know, will now be conscious, will now go around looking for younger people that they will sponsor. Mind you, in a democracy that works, you know, democracy was actually imported to Nigeria. And if you look at those countries that practice this democracy is not for sale. You know, democracy in the advanced nation, you see community, you see political party sponsoring.
Absolutely.
The sponsorship comes from
those advanced
Okay.
nations that you speak about. Very rarely do you see a young person able to emerge in leadership positions. We have senators that are 88-year-olds in America, for instance.
Yes, we are not taking that aside.
Right, we pick and choose what we love.
Yes. Now, like, let me now tell you something. When we achieved the Not Too Young to Run Act, it was Nigeria to the world. It gives Nigeria the global visibility. Nigeria is advancing in terms of reform. So I had an experience, a university in India, I haven't come across what we are doing, the advocacy. They reach out. They say, wow, we love what you are doing, and they pray that we want us to succeed, because it's going to be, we are going to set another global precedent. So Nigeria should not only be known for Yahoo Yahoo. All of us must not go into cybercrime. You know, so for the social space, we are looking at how do we get democracy work better. So if we get it right, Nigeria breaking the global barrier locally, it's going to be an advantage for Nigeria in the eyes of the world. Because as we speak now, there are some countries across Africa and across the world, they are looking at the way we are going about our quota, and they say, okay, once that scale to is going to be the next global thing that, you know, Nigeria will be known for. So why can't we have Nigeria setting pace in the democratic system that we have?
As a means to probably bring up my last question for you today, because of time, I'd want to know your thoughts. Are political parties in the verge of trying to see how to bring in older people, wealthier people, more established candidates? Are they also, you know, a problem suppressing the not too young to run? And if that is the case, do you think that going forward, maybe young people should come together and also form their political party?
There's that, now, isn't there?
Yes, political party
in real time.
There's young people's political party in Nigeria.
And see, let me tell you something. We have been in this politics for quite a long time. We have understudied the game. We have understudied the system. We have studied the terrain. You see, we are still looking out for that political party that will organize himself with the momentum. You know, when you talk, see, do you know one of the reasons why political parties is poor? Why we have political party ABC? In Nigeria today, we have formidable. When we talk about formidable political party, I think there are about 3. They can give you 4. Let's say at most 5. out of over 90.
It doesn't even include the registered ones, the ones having litigations.
You can give benefit of that.
Okay.
Let's put them in 5. And why are you putting those 5? Those are the parties that have the financial muscle to mobilize. Politics, democracy, electionary is mobilization for action. So young people, I don't know how we will get there. Young people must be able to organize themselves. And in politics, that is where we are being marginalized, because the big boys with all the financial muscles, they come together to seize power. So younger people too need to now look for alternative way to organize ourselves. Even if it's a mushroom party, there is still a lot of work to do. I don't see younger party emerging in the next election.
Well,
Yes, we are not there yet.
I really wish we had more time to discuss it, because we really are running out of time. And it's very important. I mean, if you're talking about young people not even recognizing the powers they have as electorate, so what then is the whole struggle for? But that will be the next time you come on the show. I will just ask, elections are coming in a couple of months, and there's a build-up. What would your advice to young people listening to you as a parting word be?
Okay, now, thank you very much. My parting word is that young people, we must own democratic process. We must come together to mobilize ourselves, to participate. One of the things, another area of intervention we are rolling out for the election is to ensure that we deploy over 300,000 electoral guards, young people that will hold a democratic accountability, so that we need to have an election that will be better and freer election than that of 1993 election. Since that time, we have never had a wonderful election that is free and fair. And the only way that we can have it is if young people come together. You understand? Across all platforms. See, when we come together in unity to demand the true democratic process in the election, I'm telling you, that which we are asking for, the younger people constituting leadership, is possible. But if you fail to come together to demand democratic accountability during the electoral process, my dear, it's just still round and round and round. So I just hope that we'll be able to get it right in the 2027 election cycle.
Also hoping, just like you mentioned, that there will be someone who will want to champion the bringing down of these youths together, and then we'll have one focus as young people.
Isn't that what he's doing? That has been a blessing. Blessing. Flex Banio. I like that name. Oyefe. So thank you again for being part of the show.
Thank you. Yeah, it's a pleasure to be here also.
And that is it for Razep Africa today. Don't forget that we actually started with the African News Update and to Agriculture today and tomorrow. And just after that, we had a discussion with our guest in the studio. It has been a nice time with you, Joyce. Yeah?
Yep.
I think that's where we say goodbyes.
Yes.